Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for streaming with us on this Tuesday. A very busy day of news that we want to get to. So let's start with this. Of course, the government shutdown is now in day 28. So today the Senate will vote for the 13th time in advancing a Republican-backed funding bill to try to end this shutdown. So you're seeing a lot on your screen right now, including the U.S. Capitol, procedural vote scheduled for 11:30. Republicans still need about 5 more Democrats in order to join them to reach the 60-vote threshold. So we'll have more on that. It's also the first day that air traffic controllers are going without a paycheck. So in just a bit, we will hear from Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy on more on this big day for them. Of course, this also has huge implications for so many at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. So we'll check in with our Kim Leffler there in just a little bit. So we will get to all of that in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at another story that we're following for you here closer to home. Police say that the man accused of shooting his stepfather in a domestic dispute is now wanted for murder, and he's on the run. That's because his stepdad has passed away from his injuries, and this happened in Marietta. So the suspect, 26-year-old Farron Carlos Banks, and police say that he remains on the run this morning. So we have our Kevin Stewart joining us live. Kevin, good morning to you. They're saying he's considered armed and dangerous,
morning,
right? Good morning.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know all the particulars about the disagreement.
Okay, so as you can see there, our Kevin Stewart is frozen, unfortunately. Let me try to get to a few of the details in this. Again, they're looking for 26-year-old Farron Carlos Banks. He remains at large. Like we mentioned, he is considered armed and dangerous. So they continued this investigation through the night, released this information today that 58-year-old Michael Jackson did not survive his injuries, was pronounced dead at the hospital. Working with Atlanta Police Department and license plate reader technology is the way that they were able to track the suspect's vehicle and then find him at an unoccupied home on John Hope Drive in Atlanta, brought back to Marietta for processing. 26-year-old Farron Banks, again, has not been found. They say if you see him, do not approach him. If you know where he is, you're asked to give Marietta police a call. They say he's about 6'5", weighs around 160 pounds. Okay, yeah, listen in to what officers are saying about this.
26-year-old Farron Banks, the stepson, left in a black Nissan Rogue before officers arrived on the scene. Bolo was put out a few hours ago. That information has been shared with local agencies. There is no perceived threat to the public at this time, but he is considered armed and could be dangerous, so we're asking the public to not approach if he is located. We are asking them to immediately call 911, and certainly anyone with information about his location is urged to contact the Marietta Police Department. You can do that by calling us, by reaching out through our app to be anonymous, or through Crime Stoppers Greater Atlanta. The information is available in the release for the station, so you can release the image of a black Nissan Rogue. We did also give the license plate. That is public information, and we do need to contact him to determine what took place inside of the apartment this evening. We have a lot of questions. Right now, we need to speak with Mr. Banks to answer some of those questions and determine what took place.
Okay, so there you have it. That's the message there from Marietta Police. Again, the person they're talking about, Farron Carlos Banks, 26 years old, charged with homicide, murder, aggravated assault with a weapon, cruelty to a child in the 3rd degree. If you see this man that's up on your screen now, then you're asked to call 911 immediately. Again, do not approach him, but give Marietta Police a call. And switching gears now, let's get you out to Hartsfield-Jackson, of course, the busiest airport in the world. And what we're seeing is the impact of these air traffic controllers not getting their paycheck. Today marks the first day of that first missed paycheck. Again, we find ourselves on day 28 of the government shutdown. So we're also hearing from some of these air traffic controllers in their own words. I understand many of them passing out leaflets there at the airport. So we have Kim Leffler, who's joining us live at Hartsfield-Jackson with more on the impact that's having on us here in Georgia. Kim, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we have about a couple dozen air traffic controllers that are out here at Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta International Airport, all part of the union, passing out some flyers just explaining the impact impact that this government shutdown and the lack of payment is having on them. As you mentioned, this is the first full day the air traffic controllers are going without a paycheck. They did have some days of reduced pay with their last paycheck, but this is the first full one. Of course, air traffic controllers that we talked to have experienced this before. They say right now a lot of them are contacting their mortgage companies, see what they can do about payments, adjusting their car payments as well. Some air traffic controllers are also having to get additional jobs. We are seeing some that have called out as well across the country due to all of this, and that is leading to some delays. But and this is also kind of compounded on the fact that there's already a shortage of air traffic controllers that was underway even before the government shutdown began. So take a listen to one air traffic controller we spoke with this morning about the impact that's having on air traffic controllers throughout the country.
Staffing levels and what you're seeing now have been happening before the shutdown. It's happening currently during the shutdown. It's happening after the shutdown. As controllers, you want your controller to be 100% when they show up to work. And if they're not 100%, they may use some leave. They may have stuff come up. They may get in an accident. They may have a spouse that's sick and they need to take care of, or a parent that's sick that they need to take care of. So what you're seeing now hasn't changed. Our current staffing level, we're currently operating with 10,800 fully certified air traffic controllers, which is already 3,800 short of the FAA's staffing target. And it takes years from a controller to get certified from the day that they are picked up and trained at the academy to when they're fully certified at their facility.
Now, at 9:35 this morning, the FAA did issue a travel advisory indicating staffing triggers, which is insufficient personnel at the Atlanta Terminal Radar Approach Control Center that's down in Peachtree City. They kind of help navigate all the planes that are coming here to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Now, I did just check the flight delays here at the airport, and they're only at 3% right now, so we're not seeing any major flight delays at this hour, but of course we will keep you updated on that throughout the day. Elise.
Okay, Kim, we sure appreciate that live report there from Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Thank you so much for that, Kim. And we want to continue the conversation of the impact that this is having on air traffic controllers. In fact, right now, let's get you out to New York City. That is where there's a press conference between Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and the president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, Nick Daniels. So let's listen into that.
But we have a lot of new controllers who are still in training that aren't at a high level in income, and they can't handle what's happening to them today. Those are the very people who have now looked for side jobs. You've heard the stories of controllers working at an Uber or a DoorDash, a controller who might go to a food bank to help make ends meet from this point to the point where they're going to get that paycheck. But I'll tell you this, almost every controller can't make it 2 paychecks. They can't make it without 2 paychecks. And so I think the message is clear. And I appreciate Nick and the controllers. They've sent a message: open up the government and the shutdown. Figure out how you guys can negotiate. Have a conversation. But pay us in the interim. Make sure we get paid for the work that we provide to the American people. I'll just note that in the Senate, a bill came up that said, okay, let the shutdown continue, but there's critical staff, critical workforce that come into work every single day, like air traffic controllers. Those workers who are coming to work, let's have a bill that pays them for the work they do. And Democrats said no to that. So I think we're getting to the point of extremism, and it does beg the question for me, again, what are the Democrats fighting for? Let's fight for America. Let's not fight for health care for illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. I think that's the wrong approach. And listen, I spent almost 10 years in Congress. There are political differences. Those political differences are very real. And the way you resolve those differences is not taking hostages. It's actually opening up the government and having a conversation. What can we work out? What compromises can we make? But in shutdowns, there's no room for compromise. And so I think that message has been clear. Controllers and those other critical employees need our government to be open, and they need to be paid. I want to say one other thing, because I'll get a question about this. Oftentimes I'm asked, is the airspace safe? is it safe to fly? And I would tell you that, yes, it's as safe today as it was 2 months ago. It's safe because we have great men and women who run our facilities that if they don't have the right staffing levels or if there's distractions in towers, they will slow down the landings and departures in different airports across the country. And what that means for the American people is that means more delays or that means more cancellations. We want you to travel on time. We want your flight to depart when scheduled and land when scheduled. We want that to happen. But the number one priority of the men and women who are with me here, or all men, no women, all men are with me today, but also the women in the towers, is they want you to be safe. And so if we have issues, we will slow it down. We will stop it. And so I don't want anyone to think that it's not safe. It's just that you may not be traveling on the schedule that you anticipated because of this government shutdown. And so, again, I couldn't be more honored to be here, who's become a very good friend, Nick Daniels, the president of NATCA. We work very closely together. We don't always see eye to eye on every issue, but there's a lot of issues that we agree on, and we work really well together. And before I give it to Nick, I just want to say one last thing. I'm grateful for our controllers. These are the most remarkable. If you ever go into a tower and listen to the work that they do, the expertise that these men and women have to control our airspace, you would be amazed. We are lucky to have them. We have the safest airspace in the world, not because of the antiquated equipment that we have that runs our system. It's because we have the best air traffic controllers, the best trained, the smartest people in our airspace controlling it. And we're blessed to have them. That kind of work, that kind of dedication, that kind of expertise deserves a paycheck. And with that, I'll turn it over to the NATCA president, Nick Daniels.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I am the president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, Nick Daniels. And I proudly stand here, but at the same time, I'm here to tell the story. I normally have prepared remarks for you today, but today isn't a day for prepared remarks. Today's a day to speak on behalf of the men and women, as the Secretary just said, that go in and day out and do the job of unsung heroes. They keep America safe. They keep America moving. But today, an air traffic controller showed up at their facility to see $0 in their paycheck. That air traffic controller just moved hundreds of miles from Oklahoma City after passing a grueling 4 months at Oklahoma City Academy, is at the lowest end of our pay scale and has shown up to a job that pays them $0. They're trying to move in. They're trying to get set up on just even having a place of being able to put up for rent. And guess what's due in a few days? Rent for everybody. It's not the gas that they have to put in the car, the food that they have to put on the table. It's the stress that they now wear. This job is stressful enough. We go to work day in and day out and make thousands of decisions. We do it 5 days a week. Most of us actually do it 6. 5's hard enough, and we do it 6 and 10 hours a day. And now you add in the fact that we had a partial paycheck already, and we missed a full paycheck today. America's air traffic controllers are now having to focus on how do they put gas in the car, how do they take care of their children, how do they pay for child care. And as the Secretary said, that makes the system less safe. And then the only way to make it safe is to reduce the number of aircraft in it. Day in and day out, air traffic controllers have to have 100% of focus 100% of the time. And I'm watching air traffic controllers go into work. I'm getting the stories. They're worried about paying for medicine for their daughter. I got a message from a controller that said, I'm running out of money, and if she doesn't get the medicine she needs, she dies. That's the end. So I'm going to either have to quit this job and take a different one instead of moving America's passengers through it or the cargo. Now I'm going to have to choose my family and my daughter. And that is nothing a parent should ever have to deal with, or especially the hardworking men and women that are federal employees across the entire system. But I could tell their stories all day. I could sit up here and tell you time and time again that they should never work a side job, that they should never get off a night shift and then go wait tables and then go move the commerce and people through this airspace. But you can hear it from an air traffic controller yourself. I'll give you Joe Segreto out of N90. Joe.
Thank you, Secretary Duffy and Nick. I'm going to echo a lot of what those two just said, but the pressure is real. Speaking on behalf of the air traffic controllers in the New York area, the most congested, complex airspace, arguably in the NAS, the pressure is real. We have people trying to keep these airplanes safe. We have trainees that are trying to learn a new job that is very fast-paced, very stressful, very complex, now having to worry about how they're going to pay bills. Just a story that happened to me yesterday. Somebody came to me and said, Joe, I have a question for you. I said, what's that? I need your advice. What am I to do? Do I put gas in my car? Do I put food on the table? My wife is out making money. We don't have money for daycare. What do I do? I didn't have the answers. I said, I will find out some resolve for you, but as of right now, I don't know what to tell you. But these are the real problems that air traffic controllers are dealing with on a daily basis.
Thank you. And as you heard it, day in and day out, that's now the life of an air traffic controller. The people tasked with making the impossible possible are having it made impossible by not paying them again. So the message is simple. In the shutdown today, there is no excuse that these hardworking men and women are showing up to do this job and to not ever know when they're going to get paid again. So we need America's help. We need you to stand up, and we need you to say, enough is enough in this shutdown and ensure that we can move this forward, because we do not want to be up here telling you the sad stories. We want to be up here telling you how we're moving this system forward, how we're bringing in more air traffic controllers than ever, how we're modernizing this system to serve the American people. So again, I cannot stress enough, if you want to take action, contact your congressional representative and tell them in the shutdown today.
So we'll take your questions in just a second. Want to give you a few stats. This year, on average, the delays that are associated with staffing triggers with air traffic controllers is 5%. On Sunday, 44% of the delays were because of staffing shortages. Yesterday, that number was 24%. So we're seeing the numbers move day by day in its location to location. We saw in the last couple of days LAX. We saw Atlanta. We've seen other airports as well. So we are seeing those problems as we continue to evaluate the airspace. One last point before I open up to your questions is, you do know that we have a shortage of air traffic controllers. We're about 2,000 to 3,000 controllers short. And we have a strategy together that we've worked on that is going to, I've used the term supercharge, but we are going to bring more of the best and brightest minds in America into our academy to get them through the academy, to get them into towers, to get them certified and trained up. And the problem we're now seeing is we have young people in the academy that they actually get a stipend. We pay them a small amount of money so they can go to school and they can make ends meet. That money's about to run out. And we're seeing several of our students drop out of the academy. So instead of going in the right direction, where you want me to bring you more air traffic controllers so they have less stress and pressure on them because they have more resources available, human resources available to them, this shutdown is making it harder for me to do the work that, this is bipartisan work. Everybody wants this done. There's no one who disagrees with what we're trying to do here, but the shutdown is making it more difficult for me to accomplish those goals. And it's not just the government opens up and I'm able to put it all back together. This has months-long effects on our ability to fill that pipeline and get more young people into academies and become professional air traffic controllers. So I want to let you know that, again, even where we're at today, you open it back up and you've created some longer-term problems for me to make sure I deliver for what I promised to all of you, which is more air traffic controllers. With that, we're happy to take any of the questions you may have for us. Yes. Yes.
Air traffic controllers working without pay could deter
So what you've been listening to right now is a press conference that's happening at LaGuardia Airport in New York. We heard quite a bit from Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy. We also heard from Nick Daniels, president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, with more on how this is impacting air traffic controllers all across the country, thousands of them. And one of the many things that they pointed to in the conversation that was had is how there was already a shortage of air traffic controllers. So you add on top of that the fact that we find ourselves, day 28 in a government shutdown, this being the first missed paycheck today, and the one before this was a partial paycheck. So many of them falling on tough times when you think about trying to survive, trying to pay your rent. They mentioned, air traffic controllers trying to pay daycare, trying to pay medication. One of them mentioned specifically they had a daughter and weren't able to provide the care that they need due to not having that paycheck to be able to get medication. So some very real impacts are being felt all across the board here. And on the level that so many of us will experience, that leads to flight shortages. So looking at what Secretary Duffy had to say about that, he said typically delays for flights due to staffing is about 5% on a day-to-day basis. But due to what's happening right now with the shutdown, yesterday we saw that number at 24%. So it means that flights are being delayed, flights are being canceled because there just aren't enough air traffic controllers who are able to show up at work. He mentioned they shouldn't have to work a side job in order to support their families to do the critical work that they're doing. So one of the ways he said that they're trying to work through this is to reduce traffic that we're seeing in the air due to the smaller number of air traffic workers that are able to show up to work. So saying this should be bipartisan work, this shouldn't be one side or the other, that he just wishes and hopes that both sides could come together to try to end the shutdown and make sure that our air traffic controllers are getting their paychecks, of course. So again, this conversation continuing there at LaGuardia Airport. Looks like Secretary Duffy is still answering a few questions from reporters there. So we will stay on top of this, of course. This is having big implications on us here by having the world's busiest airport in our backyard as well. So if you were tuning in a little bit earlier, you saw our Kim Leffler reporting live at the airport. Air traffic controllers handing out leaflets to try to get the word out in their own words, I guess we should say, the impact it's having on them and their families. So, of course, this is something that we're staying on top of for you this morning. Something else that we are staying on top of as well is missing money from your credit card, money that you might be missing, I guess we should say, in the form of money, in the form of miles, in the form of points. So we're going to tell you how to take advantage of all of that before it runs out. Stick around. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, a new report out from LendingTree shows that like 3 in 4 credit card holders are letting their cash back expire. They're not using it. They're not using that money and those points that are theirs. So to try to help us work around that and take advantage of using all of that, we have Matt Schultz, LendingTree's Chief Consumer Finance Analyst, joining us with a little bit of help. So Matt, it's good to have you back with us. Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Of course. So what's the problem here? Why are we letting these perks pile up?
Well, a lot of it is that people don't know how best to use them, or they're busy, and there are any number of reasons. And our report found that, like you said, about 3 out of every 4 people are sitting on some sort of rewards. And to a degree, that can be okay if you're being intentional about it, like if you're saving for a trip to Hawaii or Paris or something like that. But if you're just sitting on it to sit on it, it doesn't make any sense, because these things tend to be depreciating assets and do nothing but lose value.
Okay, so what you're saying is that in trying to do that, we can actually hurt ourselves because it can backfire, right? So how so?
Yeah, basically what happens is that if you get all of these rewards and you don't use them over time, you're just not going to get the bang for the buck that you were expecting to get. And travel and life in general are just expensive enough as it is. So the last thing you want to do is leave money on the table, whether that's through just not getting enough value for these points or actually having them expire. So when in doubt, if you're getting some value for it, the best move is to use these things sooner rather than later.
So we're just about out of time. This is a quick one today. Tell me the best value we get. Is it the cash back? Is it picking a gift card? Is it using the miles? Where do we get the most bang for our buck, Matt?
A lot of times it is with travel. When you're talking about hotel nights or airfares, that can be a really good thing. Gift cards don't tend to be as good a value as some of those other things.
Okay, any other advice for us, as we are maybe, some of us don't even know what rewards and all of that we have. So I'm guessing that's probably a good place to start, in just knowing what's available to you, right, Matt?
Yeah, knowing what your goals are and your spending habits are the best way to find the rewards that are best for you. And ultimately, the best thing is just a card or a rewards program that gives you the biggest bang for your buck on money that you are already spending.
Okay, last thing we want to do is leave money, miles, and perks on the table. So helping us out this morning, Matt Schultz with LendingTree. Matt, thank you so much. We appreciate the help.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, still ahead for you this morning, we're talking Hurricane Melissa, now a Category 5. Really bad news for Jamaica. Our meteorologist Jonathan Stacey will join us right on the other side of this. Stick around. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Hurricane Melissa, Category 5 over Jamaica. Really, really bad news for the island of Jamaica, being blamed for at least 7 deaths already. So let's get to it. Checking in with meteorologist Jonathan Stacy. Jonathan, good morning. What are we seeing right now?
This is inside the eye wall. Reconnaissance aircraft have been going inside, which is a feat all in and of itself, that they were able to get inside and penetrate the eye wall. This is the calmest part of the storm, but the most vicious winds are right along the eye wall. And those winds have topped 180 miles an hour.
Oh my
that is
gosh.
absolutely unbelievable. But once again, they've gone in there, they've measured it, and you can see those high winds already starting to take over the island there. It's going to be a long 6-hour period, but we're just going to have to watch this thing as it moves. At least it has some forward motion to it. Nonetheless, as we turn to our graphics, let's look at the latest information here. This hurricane, once again, it's going to be a record breaker, and we're going to go over some of the history high points in just a moment that this storm has already made. But you can see winds 185 based on that 11 o'clock advisory out within the past 30 minutes. Moving to the north at almost 10 miles an hour. That's good, but it's still moving fairly slowly.
Pretty slow.
Yeah. So as we take a look at the storm here, Elise, I want to just kind of tell you some of the things, some of the stats, make them make sense that you're going to hear over the next 24, 48-hour period. And eventually, this will be one of the storms of comparison, one of those that they'll look back on and say, Melissa versus et cetera. So right now, the strongest storm on the planet, typhoons included, all of that for 2025. The strongest one on the planet, 2025. That's already in the record books. In terms of the winds, that's what took it there. It's the wind field, the wind strength, 185 miles an hour. It looks like the hurricane force winds are going to stay within about 20 miles of the eye wall. And then here, this is another one that's kind of blowing the meteorology world out, and that's the 5th low pressure, or 5th lowest pressure ever recorded in the Atlantic. And that's just essentially saying that it's such a strong and robust storm. Not speaking to the wind field, but the pressure has dropped so significantly. Down to the 800s. Ethan, what was that? What was the pressure? 892. 892. So if you're wonk, you'll get that. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Typically when low pressures come through, they're in the 900s, but to get down to 892. So now I want to take you inside the storm. Of course, hurricane hunters were inside, but I can take you inside with our technology here. I'm going to advance this graphic. The computers have a lot of information to crunch here, but you can see that eye there. And so we're going to have a landfall within the next hour to hour and a half. What we're seeing is a lot of lightning around the eye wall, and what that tells us is that the storm held together even as it started to interact with land, the island of Jamaica. It did not fall apart. There was no eye wall replacement, and the winds are still very robust, and the lightning is an indication of that. Where we're looking at a possible landfall, Black River is what comes up on the map here. This is in the southwestern section of the island there, so Black River going up to Cambridge is likely where we're going to find some of the most severe damage. Cambridge, that is, Albertown, Mandeville is probably one of the areas that is most notable, especially as you look at some of the larger maps here. So to kind of get in perspective of the island itself, so when you look at the island from north to south, it's only 50 miles. And then when you stretch it out far and wide, the width is about 150 miles. That is equivalent to the size of the state of Massachusetts. So it's not a really large landmass. So the entire island will be covered up by the hurricane before the day is all said and done. We've seen the winds really kick up. We're looking at wave heights, some 19 feet high, and that's extreme. And then also those hurricane force winds. Once again, that indigo and red section there is where we're expecting the storm to really wreak havoc with those hurricane force winds. So we'll be watching the storm by afternoon. We should be looking at a storm that is moving over central Jamaica and then out into the Caribbean once again, and it's all about Cuba tonight.
Oh goodness, so this is a big one. Category 5 storm, talking about Hurricane Melissa. So Jonathan, thank you so much. I know it's going to be a busy day for you and for so many tracking this, so we appreciate it. All right, our time is now 11:35 and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Happening right now, a really exciting event. It's 150 high school students, and they're in the middle of a competition. It's the AGC Metro Atlanta Skills Challenge. So let's check in with our photojournalist, Billy Heath. He is live at Cobb County Civic Center. Looks like quite a bit of action going on behind you there, Billy. So good morning, and what is all this about?
Hey, good morning, Elise. And can you hear that? I think you probably can.
We can.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the sound of the 5th annual AGC Skills Challenge competition. And as you said it, we have tons of high school students right now competing for some pretty cool prizes. And I have someone here to tell me all about it. It's going to be Zach Fields. He is the AGC Executive Vice President for Georgia. I'm going to have him come in with me right now. All right, perfect. Right there, fantastic. Zach, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you.
So this is an event that's near and dear to your heart. I understand you have a history in education. Tell me about why today is so exciting and why it means so much to you.
Well, yeah, my background, I was a high school teacher for 10 years. And, you know, you teach your content, but ultimately you really want your students to be successful when they leave. You want them to, be in a better spot, have a great career opportunity. And too often, teachers are kind of limited in how they can impact that well in the career tech world and these skill trade program classes. And through events like this, we have these solid connection points where the teacher can play a role, school administration, counselors, and ultimately industry. So they're here, they're rallying around. Students are getting job offers or at least set up with contacts in a network to leverage that later.
So I think our viewers who are watching Fox Local can see the competition going on right here. Tell me a little bit about what's going on here down below us today.
Sure. So these are the most in-demand trades, the core essential trades we have in the state. So today we have carpentry, electrical, plumbing, masonry, HVAC, welding, and heavy equipment operations, blueprint reading, and cabinet making, all going on at the same time. So it's over 200 competitors in these core essential trades for our country and our state, and they're all competing. So this will be for a region championship of approximately the 10-county metro area that will feed a state championship opportunity that will happen in late February at the Georgia World Congress Center, and then that feeds a national network through Skills USA. So they're partners in this, and just a great opportunity for young people.
And we were talking about it a little bit earlier. Obviously, the trades, they impact everything, and that's why this event and events like it are so important, because it's not just homes. It's tell me about that. I mean, it's everything. It really is.
Sure, it runs through everything. I mean, we have shortages in multiple industries, but the shortage in the construction industry impacts everyone in the sense of it's our roads, it's our bridges, it's our hospitals. Any growing business, any manufacturing facility or expansions and relocations of business to the state of Georgia, it's all got to run through construction. You have to have enough tradespeople to be able to do that, and then obviously a solid, middle class, great entrepreneurship opportunities, and just say we've got you in K-12 for X number of years. We can deliver a core skill set to you that can take you anywhere you want to go. We've got great post-secondary training programs after with the Technical College System of Georgia, great apprenticeship programs, or on-the-job training. Many of these contractors have their own internal training program, and so low barriers to entry. I think access is really important. We want young people to have access to career opportunities where they usually just don't know what those are. These events help change that.
Lastly, obviously a lot of, it looks like some parents maybe watching their children, their students here competing this morning. If some of those parents are watching Fox Local, how might they connect with a competition like this or to get their student involved in a program like this?
Sure. Well, it's for these competitions specifically, AGC Georgia hosts these competitions, but we do so, it's all done through our membership. We're 600 to 700 companies of the top commercial construction companies, and any vendor or supplier or supporter in that space is a part of that community. So we have a website, agcga.org, where someone can land and see the competition schedule. They can just show up and come on in. We don't charge any admission. But for more broader, deeper work, we've got a great partner called Construction Ready. So, if you want this type of program at your school, you think it should be offered as a class, that's a great partner organization of ours that really help there in that space. And we really will work on it all together. But yeah, so you can pick up, hey, I want this in my school. We partner with the Georgia Department of Education and Construction Ready on that. Or hey, I just like to check out a competition, and that will be something we run directly.
Hey, thanks, Zach. I appreciate you talking with me this morning, and we're so excited to be here to witness this competition. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yep. All right, Elise, so what I can do right now for you, if you want to see, I can hop behind the camera real quick and I can zoom in to show you what these students are doing.
Yeah, let's do it. So we're out of time, but go ahead and do that so
okay.
that we can end it with that, Billy.
Sure. Yeah. End it with that, and
course.
I'll just zoom in and show you that.
Deal.
All
Okay,
right.
let's do it. Let's do it. And I got to tell you, having the hammering in the background has just been the perfect soundtrack for all of this. And as Billy zooms in there, you see him hard at work. I mean, these are the future builders of America, so it's so good to see them in those hard hats. The competition is underway now at Cobb County Civic Center. So, of course, we wish all of these students, 150 of them across 9 Metro Georgia counties, the very best in this competition, getting to show off their hard work. So, Billy, thank you so much. We certainly appreciate it.
Thanks, Elise.
Of course. Okay, something you might not know, because I didn't know about this. It is International Bat Week, and it's pretty perfect right ahead of Halloween. So you might have some questions about bats. What do you do if you find one in your attic? Who do you call? What steps do you take? Among other questions. So our Chris Rosenthal is with a DNR bat expert this morning, learning more and getting some of those questions answered. So Chris, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm actually in Watkinsville Heritage Park out here, where there are actually bat houses. I'll show you one right here. There's one right up there. There are bats living in that bat house. Actually, there are bats right now because we just checked, and I'm with Sam Holst here. He is a wildlife expert here with DNR, Department of Natural Resources, and I think we have some video to show you, some video that we actually took with this little device, and just recently. And I mean, tell me, that little box, how many bats are up there?
Yeah, in a box like this is a 4-chambered bat house, meaning it has 4 little slots for bats to go up into. We could see around 100 bats in a bat house like this. Even this small of a bat house could fit, over 100 bats in there.
I mean, 100 bats, and they're up there. You said they're hanging upside down, face down. They're kind of asleep right now, but at night, what do they do in this area here?
Yeah, so right now they sleep during the daytime. They hang out upside down. It's pretty chilly now, so I don't know if they'd be doing this tonight, but bats will leave the roost at nighttime and they'll fly around and they'll eat insects basically all night long, maybe hanging out on a tree and taking a break for a little bit. But yeah, they'll fly around, eat insects at night, and then come back to their roost at dawn.
And eating those insects, I mean, it's actually really, really important for our economy.
Yeah, bats are the top predator for night-flying insects. Insect species that destroy and decimate crops, bats are their main predator. So in the United States, it's estimated around $20 billion a year annually is saved on what would cost farmers for pesticides with just what bats do in their normal ecology, just flying around and eating those insects.
Now, bats they like these spaces sort of like this, and a space like this it's a lot like your attic. If somebody finds one of these in their attic, is it dangerous? Should they be scared? Should they be worried? What should they do?
Yeah, so like any wild animal, wild mammal specifically, they can carry disease, they can carry rabies, but less than 1% of wild bats actually are carrying the disease at any given time. But you need to take that precaution, just like you wouldn't want to, pet the raccoon that's getting into your trash. You wouldn't want to pick up the bat. On the Georgia DNR website, we have resources to help you get bats out of your house if you think you can do it yourself, with some one-way exits and how to deploy those. But we also have resources on pest control operators in your area that could come help you get those bats out safely and ethically without harming the bats.
Bats, we were talking about this, they have really great immune systems, but there is a danger. Really quick, can you talk to me really quick about white nose syndrome?
Yeah, so yeah, bats have really great immune systems. They can fight off most diseases, but bats in North Georgia, especially in our North Georgia caves, those populations are being decimated by this disease called white nose syndrome. It's a fungal disease. The spores get on the bats and that fungus will grow on their face and any of their skin, and it wakes them up from their hibernation, and they'll starve to death in the wintertime because they'll be trying to fight off that disease when there's no insects available on the landscape.
Wow, so that's definitely a challenge for them. But I'll be out here today with Sam, and we'll be looking in these bat boxes, and we'll have more for you guys at 2 and 3 on Fox Local.
Hey, very, very cool. I feel like me and probably everyone watching just learned something they didn't know about bats. So, of course, we certainly appreciate you showing us that, Chris. Thank you. Our time is 11:48, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Halloween is supposed to be fun, but it can also bring about a spike in certain crimes, pranks gone wrong, you name it. So to help us stay safe and lawful, that's important this Halloween. We're joined by Kirk Evans, attorney and president of U.S. Law Shield. So, Kirk, thank you so much for being on the stream with us. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, of course. All right, let's dive into this. This is supposed to be, a night where everyone can kind of cut loose, get some candy and all of that. But there's also an increase in crime. So what are we talking about here? I mean, what incidents do we typically see this time of year?
Sure. The things most folks are worried about are damaging their Halloween decorations, smashing pumpkins, pranks, knocking on doors and things like that. The law when it comes to that is a little different than what folks think. So in Georgia, you cannot use deadly force to get rid of a mere trespasser. And that's someone who is just on your lawn or on your porch. A lot of folks confuse that with the castle doctrine, which does allow deadly force. But in Georgia, you are only allowed to use regular force, which is pushing, shoving, pepper spray, something like that to get rid of a trespasser. When it comes to pranks like damaging property, your decorations, things like that, same law applies. You can use force, but not deadly force. So do not think about taking out a gun, pointing, threatening it whatsoever when it comes to your decorations on Halloween.
Of course. So what we're seeing right now, as you're talking, Kirk, is costumes. So is there anything that maybe we should keep in mind as we're choosing those costumes, things that should not be included, on these kids' costumes? Just some guidelines for us there.
Sure. We get a bunch of questions about that. So in Georgia, toy guns are fine, and imitation police officer uniforms and even imitation badges are fine. But if those rise to the level of being too realistic, and say a realistic gun that you threaten someone with, if that threat, is actually perceived by the other person as a threat, that could result in charges for aggravated assault. With the badge or the fake badge or the fake uniform, again, you're fine unless you're trying to actually defraud or deceive someone. And let's say just it spills over into the street and suddenly you start directing traffic with that uniform on. There are serious criminal charges for impersonating a police officer or forging a badge or uniform to impersonate a police officer.
So, Kirk, every year, we've mentioned this, you hear about these harmless pranks. It might be something like toilet papering a house, smashing pumpkins, and that kind of thing. But recently, something came out of Virginia. 3 masked men trying to break into a home. We actually have some video that we can show you of the situation there. The mom said it was supposed to be just a funny Halloween prank. But can those actually lead to criminal charges, some of these quote-unquote harmless pranks?
They can, and what used to back in the old days used to result in that's funny, harmless. Maybe your parents get a stern talking to. To these days are resulting in actual criminal trespass charges. So tell your kids, tell your grandkids, even yourself if you had a little too much to drink. These types of pranks, if not received well, can result in criminal charges. If the property damage exceeds $500 in Georgia, can actually result in 1 to 5 year prison sentence.
Wow. So this is something serious. This is the real deal that we're talking about. Kirk, want to mention this too. I mean, there's so many Halloween events that happen: schools, churches, private venues, parks, you name it. So what should gun owners know about when they can and can't carry?
Sure, that's the tough part. So if you can lawfully possess a firearm and carry a firearm in Georgia, you could take that gun with you trick-or-treating. Maybe you're going to an area, part of town you don't know, and you feel safer with your gun. That's fine. But a lot of these events are held in either prohibited places, so maybe on school property or actually in a school. You're going to be in serious trouble if you take that gun into a school. And then also, if you're at a place that does not permit firearms, and say you're told to leave, hey, we're on private property, we do not allow people in here with firearms, you could be charged with criminal trespass for going onto that property when the owner does not want you there with the firearm. So before you go out trick-or-treating with your firearm, figure out where you're going to go and research the law to see if your gun is going to be permitted on that property.
Yeah, make sure you plan ahead of time. I want to go back to something you mentioned. You were talking about reasonable non-deadly force. So give us what that means in practical terms. It could just be a brush up if we haven't heard reasonable non-deadly force in a while, Kurt.
Sure. No, it's certainly anything that does not rise to the level of causing death or serious bodily injury. And it would be, if it's some kids on your lawn, you could technically, push, shove them, get them off your property. But you could even use, say, pepper spray or things like that.
So how about this? Tell me about your company. You're an attorney. You're also president of U.S. Law Shield. So, Kirk, what is it that y'all do?
Sure. We're a legal defense for self-defense company. We operate in 46 states and Georgia. And for a small monthly fee, if you ever have to use force or deadly force to protect yourself or others, we'll provide an attorney for you every step of the way, all the way through trial. But the other component of our program is that we like to educate folks on when and how they can use force or deadly force so that they stay out of trouble.
Yeah, do you find that this is something that, especially this time of year, there's just an uptick in folks trying to figure out, what they can do, what they can't do, and maybe an increase in that around the Halloween and holiday seasons, Kurt?
Oh, it is. It's an extremely difficult time for folks who do like to carry their firearm, right? Because someone running up to you with a mask on saying, I'm going to kill you on basically every other night of the week. You might be able to use that firearm, but on Halloween, you should probably appreciate this is Halloween. This is probably a costume, probably a prank. And, you may not be able to use deadly force at that time.
Okay, some very helpful info for us. We don't want to end up in a real orange jumpsuit this Halloween. So hopefully just a fun, safe holiday for everyone. Kurt, thank you so much for being with us. Kurt Evans, attorney and president at U.S. Law Shield. We certainly appreciate the help. And sir, we hope you have a happy Halloween. Thanks for being on with us.
You too. Thanks.
Of course. And thank you for joining us here on Fox Local. There is quite a bit more news and weather. Of course, the big weather story talking about Hurricane Melissa, now a Category 5 storm set to, in just the next hour or so, to hit the island of Jamaica. Catastrophic effects of this impacted already 7 people dead there in Jamaica. So be sure to stick around for the very latest on that. So we will see you at noon. Hope you have a good Tuesday.
Now at noon, a manhunt is happening now for the person accused of killing his stepfather during an argument. We are live with the latest on the investigation. Plus, today, air traffic controllers won't get a paycheck, all because of the government shutdown. The message from the National Air Traffic Controllers Association on how this can affect your travel plans. Jonathan.
One of the strongest hurricanes ever expected to make landfall on the southern coast of Jamaica through the next hour. I'm walking you through the process every step of the way.